Hi Jim.
Hi.
I'm happy that you're in Milan for this weekend, doing these talks and for this interview. Can you describe what is this message, what it talks about?
Non-duality.
Yes, non-duality.
Non-duality describes a reality which is often overlooked because there's a sense of separation that arises in the body. That some people call I or me.
And for some people this sense of separation, this I, is something in the brain. Or is
You mean it's a thought?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So if it was just a thought, you could just stop thinking it. And it wouldn't be there. Yeah, exactly. It's not a thought.
You said yesterday at the talk you said is something here. You mean something about the body?
Yeah. Well, really, it's in the entire body. The separation, the sense of separation, the I or the me, is in the entire body, from the top of the head to the tip of the toes. It's a tension. It's a contraction. It's a sensation of here.
And so this separation makes us feel like we are something. There is something here. This is my body, and this is an object outside of me.
As soon as there's a sense of subject here, there's an object there. That's separation. I'm here, you're there. And what happens then is that that object, that out there, becomes something that needs to be dealt with, something that needs to be taken care of.
And this sense of separation is always present, or like it develops at a certain age or a certain circumstances, it is mandatory, this sense of separation has to happen?
Well, I don't think anything's mandatory, but it seems to arise, I saw a video, it seems to arise with 18 months in the child. So that they did an experiment with children. They put a spot on their forehead and put them in front of a mirror. And before 18 months or somewhere around there, 18 months, 2 years, the child would try to get the spot off the mirror. And at 18 months, 2 years, they then realize that it's referring to something that they're here.
Okay.
I mean, just scientifically, psychologically, I've heard it's the brain that does it.
Yeah, because animals doesn't have it.
No.
And why this sense of separation makes us suffer such a lot? Makes us to feel lost in this world?
Because it's unnatural.
It's unnatural.
It's an unnatural state of contraction of here, which makes everything, which in a sense, making it personal means that I have something to win or lose in the situation, and I have to then try to make my life work.
And also, I will die.
That's a big one. That's the biggest one for me. Yeah, because somehow I think it knows it's going to die. It knows that it's treading on thin ice all the time. It's one instant away from not being, and it's always trying to maintain its existence through, fighting.
Yeah, the fear of death is the biggest fear, and the biggest thing to deal with. Like when you are ill, you feel suffering because
the body. I think the body has a sense of fear of death, or a contraction of death, or a want to survive. The body does, but there's a whole psychological aspect to the fear of death and the incapability, because we want to know everything. The mind, the body, the I can't know what death is, so it's the unknown which is afraid of.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I was thinking about that. I was thinking how it will be, like because I was a Christian, so they say when you die, you go in paradise. I was trying to imagine what this paradise is, and it was scaring me, the idea that I will exist forever, because when you go in paradise, you exist forever, And there are a lot of ideas about after death, the reincarnations and these things. What's say non-duality about that?
Well, this is death.
This is death.
Yeah. All there is what is. There is no death because nothing was ever born.
You mean you're referring to the separate I? The separate I never born. I mean.
Exactly. It was never born. It's a reaction. It appears within everything.
But the body dies, isn't it?
The body dies, but nothing depends upon the body. The separate I lives in has the experience that's dependent on the appearance. In reality, nothing's dependent upon the appearance.
Okay. Yeah, because we imagine that as something kind of when everything disappears, you know, every appearance, like what I am disappear actually. But when the body dies, everything that we are looking now will disappear.
Yeah.
And
The way it looks now won't be this way. But nothing's dependent upon it.
I think this is something that you cannot get until, I mean, when you feel separated, you cannot get this now.
Nobody gets that this is death.
So you don't get it.
Nobody gets it. Death is life. Life is death. Once the need for living dies, there's nothing. That death becomes just another concept. There's no such thing as death.
And so there is this sense of separation that makes us feel contracted and lost and feel to achieve something in life.
Well, it's really the contraction that is the sense of separation, which then creates the need to find a solution to that.
And people maybe start with the material things, with the money, success, relationship, job, try to achieve the best level on this. But I think that for some people that is not enough. So they go into spirituality. They try religions, therapies, and you think that this acting in the world to try to feel this lack, to try to meet what we call God, you know, what is beyond this limited life. You think that will ever happen? There will be a success in finding what we look for.
Is that a question?
That we will ever find something in our search.
The search is hopeless. It never finds what it's looking for. And I don't see any real difference between searching for in money, searching in sex, or searching in spirituality or religion. They're all the same thing. It's all just the same function of the me, searching for something to fill the hole that it feels, to fill the need that it has.
You mean just change of the
That's
search?
all. It can't do anything else.
But you know, for some people in therapies, for some guru masters, there is this thing that you can do something about your life. You can, for example, in about non-duality, there are some people that say if you do self-inquiry, if you ask who am I, if you meditate, check inside in the body where is this separate I, you will realize that it is not present, so that is enlightenment. What do you think about this? It seems like an action that you can do.
Yeah. Well, anything I can do will always be within the experience of time. So it's always going to be a part of it. So it's always the only thing. Like we talked about death before. The separate sense of self can't get death. It doesn't know death. It only fears death. It fears death as the unknown. So anything it does comes from the position that it's alive, that it's real, and that it needs to find the solution to itself.
So you mean that even when there is this self-inquiry, even when there is this, meditation, the me is keeping itself in a story?
It's not the me keeping itself in the story, it's just simply a story. It's just simply what's happening.
It's simply the contraction.
There's no choice to it. It's not like the me decides to do something. The me has no power to decide or not to decide. It's purely a reaction to the feeling of separation. It's just what it does. It can't not search. As long as there's an I, there's searching. And that's in anything. It searches in anything. It doesn't matter what it is.
So for this reason, each search won't bring anywhere.
Well, really, it's a circle, because the search confirms the need of the search, which what do you say, makes the search go on, continues the search. It just goes around and around and around. All it does is it finds its own lack.
Because often when you do this search, you can find pleasure. You can find, even with money, even with meditation, you can find pleasurable feelings, and you have kind of, you think that you are going in the right direction, and that if you proceed, if you go on maybe for years or for months, one day will happen, you know.
It's logical. To search is logical. What I see is that often the sense of I, it experiences thoughts and feelings as the biggest problem in its life. And so it assumes that if it can separate itself or somehow deal with its thoughts and feelings, it'll find what it's looking for. That's logical. And the logical place to find that is now. That's the reason you search for now, or you search for the I, because that seems like a logical solution to the problem of the thoughts and feelings which torture the I. The thing that the I can't imagine is that it isn't, that it's completely unreal, and that has nothing to do with thoughts and feelings for the reason it suffers, but it comes from the experience of separation. It can't conceive of that, because it's like conceiving of not existing. It can't do that.
Yeah,
it's trapped. It's completely trapped.
For us, the main deal is about thoughts and emotions, you know. And a lot of therapists, a lot of masters, even non-dual masters, say like explain how to deal with emotions, like to let go, to let being passed through the emotion, to let express this energy, that to let go thoughts, and not to grasp them, fix them. But this is still something. It's still an action that a supposed I should do. This let go emotions and deal with thoughts.
Well, it comes from the experience that something's wrong.
Exactly. That the emotions are wrong, that you are dealing wrong.
Which is a complete misunderstanding, a complete illusion that something's wrong. Nothing's wrong. Nothing needs to be done. So the effort, the action of doing something confirms the need to do something.
But you know, one person could say, okay, I was very jealous, or I was a very angry person, and then I did some kind of therapy, like Vipassana, or try to stay with the feeling, and then my life improved.
Yeah, know? Why not?
Yeah, but you mean to say that this kind of therapies has to do with the personal story, make the personal story better, but you cannot go further.
Absolutely. You can do therapy and make your personal story better. It doesn't last though.
Doesn't last.
It's like anything you gain, it becomes what you are, and so the next need shows up. Because the basics of the base of I is need. Okay. So I get rid of anger, and then something else shows up. Because it's completely dissatisfying being a separate self, being a separate entity.
Yeah, for some people, this feeling of lack, this feeling of being separate is very strong. Yeah. And they feel that it has nothing to do with therapy, it has nothing to do with practice, anything. It has to do with something more deep, you know. And I was feeling this sensation strong when I was a teenager, separate. So I was a lot into religion and about reading books, but then there is you start understanding that you will never get it. And so it becomes frustrating.
I don't know that the I ever gets that it doesn't get it, or that it can't get it.
Yeah, you mean that even if it receives these ideas, it will always try in some way to do something about its life, about its thoughts, about its emotions.
It lives in a world of belief, and reality is completely unbelievable. Not because someone couldn't believe in it. I think the me always, or the I always, comes up with some sort of belief about what it's hearing. But it's not believable because it's too immediate. There's no function that brings it more to reality. It's just not believable. It's just not available to the I. The I is always in a sense of separation, trying to bridge that gap. And there is no bridge. Belief is that bridge, and that bridge doesn't function. There's no function of this.
Yeah, belief is trying to know, trying to grasp.
Belief is believing in something you don't know. If you knew, it would be knowing and not believing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so this is unknowable.
This is utterly unknowable, but this is unknowable. This. What is right now, this is unknowable.
You mean because it's fresh, it's new, it has no past, it has no story, you mean?
Because, exactly, well, it's completely empty.
It's empty.
Yeah. It's ungraspable.
When you say it's empty, What do you mean?
Well, what I mean is the experience of I is the experience that there's something in here, and that in some odd way then gives the experience of something being in everything else.
Yeah, that everything is solid, everything is real.
Exactly.
When you
Yeah.
say it's empty,
That loses, that when there's nothing in here, it's recognized there's nothing in anything. That it's just an appearance. That it's not coming from anywhere, going anywhere.
so you mean like that this part was not already present? I mean, like for example, when I came here,
You
I
can't
knew
get
that
it.
there was this part.
You can't get it.
Okay.
What's being said is there's just what is. Anything that arises is what is. So if there's a thought there that the park is, that's what is. It doesn't prove anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's just what arises. There's no way to get behind what is.
Yeah, I think that for this reason there are a lot of people in the non-duality that talk not in such a way, because I think that some people can have a kind of an experience or a state where it seems like non-duality, but they still talks to the person. I have this feeling because what you share, I think, is very, very rare, and yes, and a lot of people still, even if they say there is no one, there is no I, then what they say is to the person, is about something, doing something. It's about could be being more human. It's more about how to live life,
Making life better.
making life better at the end.
Pronto? Ciao mamma. Bene,
So
bene, tu?
in these meetings, when you talk with people, you said that it's something beyond words.
Yeah, just to be clear, I don't do it. I couldn't do it.
Okay, because I mean there is no one.
Nobody knows there's no one. It's not like the me falls away and then there's no one there anymore. There's just no one there, but nobody knows that. There never was anyone. It's not a change. It's not like something happens. So no one knows that there's no one, but this is a message from no one. It sounds always like there's a solid entity that then finally falls away, and
Exactly.
then there's something left which someone knows about. And
Exactly.
talking about it sort of gives the impression that it's known, that there's something real.
Exactly.
Yeah. But what happens is that there's a separate I which makes everything appear real, and when that falls away, or quite literally is recognized as never having been, what's left is simply what is, which isn't real. It's completely empty. It's not solid. Nothing depends upon it.
You know, like for the I, for the separate I, when you say there is just this, you know, it seems like to try to grasp the moment.
Now.
Now.
It looks for now. Yeah.
Looks for now.
Yeah. It
But-
feels like there's something that needs to be done. What it can't see is that it already is non-dual. It already is everything. The separate I, the experience, is still non-duality or everything appearing as a separate I. There is no separate I, nothing separate. There is no subject peering out at the world as an object. That's an illusion. It doesn't happen. It's an experience, I understand that, and it's an experience that is experienced as real and therefore can't hear what's being said. But it's still it's still a part of everything. It's still everything. See, there's the me lives in a world where there's this and something else, which gives it the experience of being dual. That something else isn't. There's only ever what is. There's only ever what's happening. There's no other. There's nowhere else. So there's nothing to find. It's not like there was somewhere else that you could find what you were looking for. That's the world of I. That's the shock. This is always what it was. This is always it. There is only what there is. It's completely undeniable. It's unacceptable. No one can accept it, but it's undeniable. It's obvious.